Hey everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Saturday edition of Today in Sports Betting. And of course, as is our tradition, we're going to talk a little bit of NASCAR today. NASCAR heading to Atlanta, and we've got two of the best in the business here at Winners and Winers to talk about NASCAR. First of all, joined by my partner, my co-host as always, he is Scott Reichel. Scott, how are you today, man? Happy Saturday.
Thanks. Yeah, it's good to be here. Still looking at some Bundesliga stuff from the plays we gave out earlier in the week. I already guaranteed some profit, so it's gone pretty well. But I still have one pick left from either turning it into a mediocre but slightly profitable Saturday or week, I should say, as opposed to a pretty decent profit. So we'll see how that goes over the next hour and change.
Are you watching that? Are you watching that game as we record, or is it not on anywhere?
I could find it, but I wouldn't do that to you. My priorities, of course, are with the show. So looking forward to talking some NASCAR here.
What a great answer. Hey, let's.
I'm going for that beauty. I'm going for that beauty pageant trophy. So
beautiful thing. Let's talk to the guy that's currently leading after two races in the Winners and Whiners Cup. Comes from the great state of Mississippi down there. He's got his internet up and cooking today. We are joined by the one, the only. It is Winning Willie. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, fellas? We should have a fun one this weekend. Only 6 drivers in the field with wins before. Should be fun.
Little change into the guard happened down there in hot Atlanta. It is that is a fun track to watch them. There's a lot of grooves in that track. It is a track that is very, very hard on tires. That is a rough surface. So we're going to talk a little bit about the tire situation as well. But yeah, it should be a fun race. We've got Xfinity is going to be running tonight as we record this here Saturday afternoon. So they'll be running shortly after this gets posted, and then the big boys will be running the Cup race tomorrow at Atlanta. I don't even know the official. What's the official? The Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 is what it is. So we're pretty excited about that. They do have the starting field set as they did, like they always do for the at least the first race in the series at a track. They did the top 12 in owner points, a random draw for the first 12 spots, 13 through 24, et cetera, et cetera. Chase Elliott, as if he needed any help. He is sitting on the pole. Let's get her started with our guest, Willie. Chase Elliott, he's been one of the hottest drivers on the circuit. Does he keep that streak going here? What do you think, man?
Well, I don't know if he's going to win or not, but he's always been a good driver here at Atlanta. So I look for him to be competitive this weekend.
Yeah, he's a fine race car driver. He has really been good here post virus, I guess, as we say, since they've come back and run their schedule. And yeah, he's been the man to beat. In fact, as drivers who have made multiple starts at Atlanta, Chase Elliott is the best of the bunch. He's started 4 races here. He's got 3 top 10s, 1 top 5, and has not finished outside the top 20. Scott, is it time to keep it going on Chase Elliott?
For me, no, actually. I know that he's had a pretty solid average for position. It is worth mentioning that even though in the 4 races he's had at Atlanta, he's finished 8th, 5th, 10th, and 19th. So he's never actually finished better than 5th in this track. I understand why he's the favorite because of the pole and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I don't really think there's enough value on him. So I know I normally give him out as the top Chevy prop, which has become a staple on the channel. Spoiler alert, I'm kind of looking a little bit elsewhere. So I'm not as high on Chase Elliott as I feel like a lot of people are for this track. Do I think he'll finish top 10? Probably. But he's never finished 4th or better. So I'm not going to immediately pencil him in as being deserving as the favorite for this race.
Fair enough. Scott says Elliott's a fine driver, but he did not have the confidence that he can get over that hump and get up to the top of the chart.
At least for that number. I think that number's a little bit too low based on the wreck. I know that his average position finish is 10.5, which is phenomenal, as you said before. But I mean, he only has 4 career races at Atlanta, so the sample size is pretty small, and he hasn't finished better than 10th in each of his last 2 runs. So he hasn't exactly been that sharp on this track lately. I mean, one top 10 finish is decent, but you're finishing in double digits in each of your last 2 times at Atlanta. Don't really think you deserve to be this low of a number to win the race.
Well, and I can understand that, and I've got him at plus 600. Is that what you're looking at as well, Scott?
For the most part, I saw a decent amount of 550s, so it was kind of somewhere around there. Mostly around plus 600 though.
Now, and I've got the favorite in this one is Kevin Harvick at plus 500, and then Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott both at 600. So if you're not on the Elliott bandwagon, are you thinking that Harvick is the way to go, Willie?
Yeah, I like Harvick this weekend. He hasn't won this year, but he leads all drivers with an average finish this year. He has only finished outside the top 10 once. He has 2 career wins at Atlanta with 8 top 5s and 14 top 10s. So, I mean, he's one of those guys that you at least got to look at for a top 3 or a top 5 prop,
Yeah, I agree. And, like I said at the top of the show, I tend to look at not only the driver ability, but the ability of their team to manage the tire situation here, because this is a track that is probably the toughest track on the circuit as far as tires go. And these guys are getting 13 sets of tires. Now, this is and Willie, I'm going to be honest with you. We're kind of coming back to NASCAR late here. I think Scott and I both went through our NASCAR phase and kind of drifted away from it. So let me ask you, I know there's been tire limits as far as the other series goes, as far as the trucks and the Xfinity. Is this fairly new that they're limiting the Cup guys as far as how many sets of tires they can have?
Yeah, they didn't used to do that. If I remember correctly, I may have just been.
They absolutely did not.
I may have been so young that I just don't remember correctly, but I didn't think so. I'm not sure why. I kind of like it. It adds to the strategic effect of it a little bit.
Right. Yeah, but that's the first time I ever heard about them was a couple of weeks ago when they were running at Darlington, and they started talking about how some teams, didn't have tires to change all 4 tires every time they were in the pits. And I was like, what now? And, they only gave them so many sets of tires. They get 13 sets, which sounds like a lot. That sounds like a ton of tires. But this is a track that is just dreadful on tires. I've had a friend of mine used to have season tickets at Atlanta, and he would tell me stories about going home from Atlanta and having all kinds of little pieces of black rubber all over his clothes, all over his skin. So, they chew up some tires here. So I'm looking not only at the skill of the drivers, but the quality of his crew chief and the pit crew in general. Am I wrong on that one, guys?
No. I said going into the video we would probably have some similar names. It seems like both of you were on Harvick. Is that safe to say?
No, not safe to say for me. I'm not. No,
I thought you were asking because you were going to segue into your first pick for the race.
No, he was he's the top pick, and so that's kind of I've got him at the favorite at plus 500. So I thought,
I have him as the favorite as well. I accidentally misspoke when I said Elliot was the favorite. He's actually the second favorite in this race at roughly plus 600. I actually love Harvick in this race. He's going to be my first pick to win it. I know I typically stay away from chalk, but Harvick historically has been so good here that I feel like it is definitely worth the 5-1 shot. To correct one thing that Willie said earlier, Harvick does have 1 win this season, so he has been very solid. Everyone knows that he's arguably the best driver on the entire circuit right now. He's starting 9th, so he has a decent starting position. He's won this race twice, as we've talked before about how there aren't exactly many winners at Atlanta currently running this year. He's finished top 10 in each of the last 5 Atlanta races, and he's also led at least 45 laps in each of his last 6 Atlanta races, which is absolutely insane to me. Yeah. So he knows how to get to the front, he knows how to stay in the front, and he's been very solid here historically. So Harvick at 5-1, I definitely think that's worth a play because he's just so consistent here.
Yeah, and I don't hate Harvick in this race. I think he's got a fine shot. I've just got a couple other picks that I like a little bit better. But I'm with you. I think that I like the skill set that he brings. I like the experience that he brings, and again, he brings a great crew chief, able to manage those tires over there. So I think that's a solid pick.
Isn't that insane, though? How do you lead 45 laps in each of your last 6 races at a track?
You're good. You're
Correct.
consistent.
Correct. You're good. Yeah, that's how I would say it.
And you qualify well. You know, a lot of those can come early. So it means you're up front early. And we've got the competition cautions here in this one as well. So
starting 9th, though, pretty decent starting spot.
Yeah, not bad at all. That's plenty good for this track that lends itself to a fair amount of passing. Willie, who you got your eye on this week?
Well, my first official play, which I just touched on a few minutes ago, is Kevin Harvick. For most of the reasons that you just touched on, honestly, that he's got a great team. He's been driving well all year. I mean, I feel crazy for not putting him in here at this point.
Okay. All right. So you guys are each going to go with the chalk there.
I just realized something. Both of us are going chalk, and you're not going chalk. What happened here? You're switching up the strategy here.
I am. Well, it says it hasn't served me very well here so far, guys. So
I haven't noticed.
Yeah. So I'm going to change it up here for my first pick. I'm going to take a little bit of a longer shot. At plus 800, I'm going to go with that Blue Deuce. I think Keselowski has it going all in the right direction. He is a good race car driver at this track, and he's as far as active drivers go, he's the best out there as far as the last 4 seasons have gone. So I like Keselowski in this spot. And let's see where he's qualified 6th. So he's right there in the mix as well. And coming off his surprise win last week, I think that number 2 Ford, I think he stays hot. I like him at plus 800. Get a little more value there on BK. Thoughts on Brad Keselowski, gentlemen?
So my second choice for this race is Brad Keselowski.
Fantastic.
And he's actually available at 10-1 on FanDuel.
Oh,
so
nice. Well,
getting him at 10-1 is definitely the better deal there.
Well,
he's starting
10-1.
He's starting 6th, as you've said. Keselowski's won multiple races over the last month. He's been phenomenal. He's been extremely dialed in. If you want to go even more in depth on Atlanta, he's been phenomenal here. He's finished top 4 in 3 of his last 4 races overall, and he's also finished top 2 in each of his last 3 Atlanta races, which is insane.
Yeah.
So he's either gotten the gold medal or the silver medal in each of the last 3 trips to Atlanta. 10-1. If you look at all the if you shop around for the manufacturer of car to win the race, Ford is the prohibitive favorite here, and I think that makes perfect sense. I think Harvick and Keselowski should be either 1A or 1B kind of situation for this race. I think they're clearly the 2 best drivers for this track. So for me, Keselowski at 10-1 as well. I know it's tricky for racers to win back-to-back weeks, but I mean, you're finishing top 2 in your last 3 trips here. I don't know how you don't take that at 10-1. So I'm with you on that one.
All right, excellent. That scares me that you've come along with me, but that's all right. And he does have a phenomenal record at 11 starts there at Atlanta. He has 7 top 10s, and like you said, if anything, he's been better lately at Atlanta. Willie, you like our BK? You're going to make it a clean sweep for the Blue Deuce there, buddy?
Do I like Brad Keselowski this weekend? Yes. Am I taking him? No.
Okay.
I'm actually taking Kyle Busch with my second pick. And I know it just seems cliche at this point, but he's been a pretty good driver at Atlanta in his career. He's got 2 wins here, 5 top 5s and 8 top 10s and 21 starts, although you can't really pay attention to the 21 starts because he didn't have the best of teams when he was first starting. But
right.
I don't know. I like Kyle this weekend. He's due for some good luck.
All right.
Well, I'm definitely surprised that at this stage in the season, Kyle Busch still has no victories, which I think is pretty shocking to everybody. So
terrible season so far. I've got him at 6-1. Anybody got a better price than that?
I have 7-1 in DraftKings.
You got 700.
I see 7-1. Let me see if I see anything else. No, I see 7-1.
All right. As we do here, we always give the best price. That's what our official pick is. And so you guys are going to go with Kyle Busch. I'm
with Keselowski. I didn't take Kyle Busch.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. That's right. You've got Keselowski as your second pick. I really struggled with Kyle Busch because I like you get a good price on him, but he's just had such a terrible season so far, and I don't know sometimes drivers are snake bit. Sometimes they just don't have a good matchup with the team, with the equipment. And I'm gonna have to pass on Kyle Busch until I can get a better price on him, and until he shows me something, until he breaks through. I know he got to win. He got to win early, right? Or no, he's winless. He's winless this season.
Yeah, he hasn't won. I can't say that he's had an awful season. For Kyle Busch standards, definitely been underwhelming. But
Right.
He's been extremely boom or bust. He's had 9 starts. He ranks in 9th in the chase, so he hasn't been awful. But when you have 9 starts and you have 5 top 5s and 5 top 10s, that basically means you're either finishing in the top 5 or you're finishing roughly 20th. So he's been pretty boom or bust up to this point.
Yeah, he really has, and I'm not.
I'm passing on Busch personally.
Okay, all right. For my second pick, I'm going to go Martin Truex Jr. I'm going to step out just a little bit here. This is another driver that's been good at this track. He's been good at this track lately. In his 21 starts, he does have 9 top 10s. But again, that is something he's been much better here his last couple times out. His last 2 times, he's finished in the top 5 each of the last 2 races. And I like Martin Truex maybe to break through here. I think this is a guy that's due. And as much as that turns into the gambler's fallacy, I understand how that works. But I'm going to lock up Martin Truex. I've got it at plus 750. Anybody have a better price than that?
Truex. I see plus 1,000 here.
Plus 1,000?
Yeah, on DraftKings, I see plus 1,000.
Good Lord, I'll take an extra 33% of value for that. So nice. Both of my guys have turned into 10-to-1 shots. That's slightly troubling, not going to lie, but I like the payoff if they hit. So I've got Keselowski and Truex. Willie's got Harvick and Kyle Busch, and Scott has Harvick and Brad Keselowski. So now it comes to the fun part where we each have to take a long shot, and we have designated a long shot for our purposes to be 15-to-1 or better. So, Willie, who you got coming from the back of the pack there in this one?
Well, I'm going to dip back into the Busch brothers. Kurt Busch, 20-to-1 at DraftKings. He's got 3 career wins at Atlanta, an average finish of just under 15th at this track. He's also got an average finish of 11.6 this year through 9 races with 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s. At 20-to-1, I can't pass that price up as good as Kurt's been driving this year.
All right, very good. And I actually had my eye on him. I think that's a fine long shot. I had him at 18. I like him even better at 20-to-1. And he has been competitive. He's been competitive just about every time out this season. And, if you look at last week when he came from absolutely nowhere, a couple laps down at one point there in the race, and notched himself a nice top 10 finish. I think Kurt Busch still, if you'll pardon a racing pun, I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. So, yeah, I'll take I like that Kurt Busch pick. That's a good one there at 20-to-1 for Willie's long shot. Scott, I know we all love your long shots. Who you got?
Well, my long shots so far have been known to finish on the outskirts of the top 10, but never really in the top 5. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work out for this one. But I'm actually going to be sticking with the Chevys, but I'm going to be taking a veteran here. I'm going to dip back into the veteran bag, so to speak, and I'm going to take Jimmie Johnson at 20-to-1.
Oh.
And the reason why it might come as a little bit of a shock with Jimmie Johnson, a couple reasons why I like him at 20-to-1 on FanDuel. He's starting 15th, decent starting position, could be worse. He's won 5 times at Atlanta in his career, so he's been phenomenal here historically. He's pretty much plus 1,500 or lower everywhere else, but FanDuel has an outlier line of 20-to-1, so I feel like just for value alone, that's definitely worth taking. In addition to that, Johnson has an average finish position here of 12th at Atlanta over 28 starts, which is the 3rd best among active drivers, and he also has 28 career wins on 1.5-mile tracks like Atlanta, which, if anybody is keeping track, is the most in NASCAR history. So he's been phenomenal here. He's been really good at 1.5-mile tracks. And if you've looked at Johnson's results this season, really not been that bad. Of course, he has the outlier 40th finish when he failed inspection, but he's actually been pretty competitive here. especially on the circuit this season, and it's his last time at Atlanta. I wouldn't be surprised to see him potentially get something going here, finish in the top 5, top 10. So I think 20-1 definitely makes sense there. So for me, Jimmie Johnson at 20-1 will be my long shot, so to speak.
All right, very good. I've got you down for that 48 car at 20-1. By the way, can you really say if anybody's keeping track and then read the stats?
Well, I was saying somebody was keeping track. It wasn't me, but somebody's keeping track.
Obviously, somebody's keeping track. If anybody's keeping track, and here's the stats. Okay, very good. Little ball busting here on Saturday. No worries. Man, I really didn't want to do this again, but I just find myself in the position that I'm going to have to play it one more time. Anybody want to guess who I'm going to take as my long shot?
You're taking Eric Jones.
No. No, I'm taking Clint Boyer again. I think this guy, oh, man. You know, he's been close for me. I had him at 24-1 last week. He finished second, and he's been driving very well. I've not been able to jinx him. I haven't got him to the winner's circle, but he's had a very fine run here the last few weeks, and this is a good track for him. This is a track that he has traditionally done pretty well at, especially lately. He's got 19 starts. He's got 7 top 10s. But in his last 2 starts there at Atlanta, he's done a fine job. He's got 2 top 5s in his last 2 starts. So I'm going to take Clint Boyer. Boy, I'll tell you what, boys, if I ever hit one of these, it's going to be a nice payday. Because Clint Boyer, when you jack around that 20-1 stuff, Clint Boyer gets you the price of 35-1. Anybody got anything better than that for Boyer?
You said 35-1. Let me see.
It's better than DraftKings pricing.
Yeah, I see 30-1 there. I see 60-1.
What?
Where's that?
BoxBet is 60-1.
60-1?
Yeah.
That's juicy.
Sign me up then. I'll take.
Why you always shop around? That's why you always shop around. You get roughly double your value if you just switch.
Yeah. That's significant right there, boys. Increasing that by what, 82, 83%. That's very, very nice. Give me Clint Boyer at plus 6,000, plus 6,000, 60-1. How do you pass that up, gentlemen? That's what I want to know. Just like y'all did. Okay, very good. All right, so there we have it. That is our official lineup for this weekend. Before we start to have fun here with our props and matchups. Winning Willie, he is again Winning Willie, living up to his name. He is taking Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Kurt Busch. Got the Busch brothers rocking there, and Scott Reichel, he's got Harvick as well. Brad Keselowski and Jimmie Johnson, and I have taken Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Boyer at 60-1. I noticed a lot of us. I noticed we've kind of stayed away from the youngsters at this track, guys. Was that by design, or did that just kind of happen to come out that way?
Well, I know that Willie mentioned it as soon as we started. Only a handful of drivers have actually won here in the past. So I feel like experience, especially with your point about the tires, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the youngsters potentially struggle with regard to how they handle the tires. And I think that experience definitely is an important factor at most tracks. Atlanta, it factors in a lot, in my opinion. So for that reason, I tried to stay a little bit away from the younger guys. I don't know. What about you? If you were the same way?
Yeah, the tires was the main thing for me. I'm not sure I have confidence in these guys to be able to drive to save tires like the way that they need to be done, especially just getting 13 sets there for the entire race. I wanted to look at veterans, and I wanted to look with veterans that had veteran crews and crew chiefs. So that was my rationale. Willie, what about you?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same way. I'm looking for the experience this weekend. With the way Atlanta is, with the way that the track just gets extremely hot on the tires, it's tough to trust the younger drivers. If I was going to play one, I'd find a valuable way to play Alex Bowman, but that's probably the only one that I would even trust this weekend.
And I noticed we all stayed away from Chase Elliott. Was there a reason, even though he's sitting on the pole, that wasn't tempting for any of us? Scott, give me your thoughts behind Chase Elliott. How come you Was it just a matter of him being a young driver and not having the experience with the tires? Was that the main thing with you?
Well, I mentioned before that even though he has a very solid average finish, he's never finished better than 5th.
Okay.
So I'm not going to back a guy who's only gone in Atlanta 4 times and never come in the top 4 and suddenly just pick him to win the race. I just don't think that's a very solid play for value.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a ton of value on him at plus 600. I really don't. Willie, is that kind of your same direction there on Chase Elliott?
Well, yes, I don't like to back pole sitters very often. And I just feel like he's been really lucky here lately. I mean, he's kind of due for a bad break, so to speak.
Hey, bad break was ramming Logano into the wall, but I don't want to talk about that.
I mean, I still think he shouldn't have been even in that position. I feel like he was a little lucky to even be there, but, you know.
You're not wrong, but, you know, it is what it is. I think after what happened last week, I'm taking a personal stand against Elliott for a little bit, but not actually. I just don't really see much value at 6-1.
All right.
Quick question, by the way. I know we're just talking about the younger guys. I'm kind of curious. What are both of your thoughts on my long shot with Jimmie Johnson? I know it's tricky, but based on track record, I think 20-1 is a decent deal.
I think it's a good price. I think I like him at that price. I'm just, you know, I've taken a couple swings on Jimmie Johnson this year, and I'm just not sure he has it. I'm just not sure he has that inner fire, that drive to get it done. And I know that's. And I know that's probably not accurate here, sitting here on my fat ass, having never driven a race car in my life, talking about one of the best to do it of all time, maybe losing motivation. So, yeah, I'll certainly comp to.
He came in 3rd last week. It's not like he's been completely awful.
I agree. No. He's been competitive. That's what I'm saying. He's been top 10. He's been top 15. He's had some good runs. I don't hate it. And like you said, at 20-1, you know, a lot of times that's what you don't. People have to understand about making bets is it's not always your personal favorite or who you like. It's where the value lies. And if you look at Jimmie Johnson and you look at his record and you say, well, you know, he hasn't had the best season or whatever. But it's hard to make a case for him being 20-1,
especially at Atlanta.
Yeah, you would think that he would be more in the 12 to 15 range.
Yeah, I thought 15 sounded about right.
So, you know, if you say, well, this guy should be 15-1 and he's 20-1, well, now all of a sudden you're picking up 33% in value. It's like somebody just gave you an extra 33% and go, here, take this. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I understand the pick from that standpoint. And that's, again, it's one of the most difficult things about handicapping. You have to get past who you necessarily – you have to balance with who you like as a driver with where the value is, because a lot of unexpected things happen. So.
I decided going in I was going to back the experienced drivers on this track, and it seems like we all felt the same way. And it's very tough to find drivers with more experience on this track than Jimmie Johnson. So that's kind of where my logic was. Willie, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like the pick. He leads all of the active drivers in the race with 5 wins. And I kind of feel like he wants to get a win, at least just one win this year, just kind of like a go out on top sort of thing.
It's a proper send-off. It's his final race in Atlanta. So, you know, you never know.
And I think he'd really like to be in the playoffs. I think he would like to have one more shot at the playoffs. Because, you know, once those playoffs start, we talk about it in every other sport. Once the playoffs happen.
You're going to mail it in if you're not involved. If you're not involved.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were finishing for me. Once the playoffs starts, you just mail it in.
Yeah, but I'm saying because NASCAR is one of the situations where even if you're in the playoffs, you're not only going to have 10 drivers on the track.
Right.
So you have to start wondering, is he really going to put the same amount of effort into it once he's officially out of it? No. I have to assume he'll be a little bit, I don't want to say reckless, but he has the experience on the track. He knows how to handle the tire situation. He's got a very experienced crew, as he probably should be, because he's arguably the greatest NASCAR driver of all time. And, you know, I think he's got definitely a decent shot of finishing in the top 5, top 10. So why not?
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so let's start with it. Let's do a little matchups here. We got some fun matchups, and you know what? I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to kick it off by doubling down on my pick with Martin Truex Jr. I'm catching Martin Truex Jr. plus 105 against Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch minus 135. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not laying Kyle Busch minus 135 against very many drivers right now. That's just the way it is. Again, has had a horrible season, but for Kyle Busch, his game seems to be off a little bit. Give me Truex over Busch for plus money, plus 105. Thoughts?
I actually found another prop involving Truex Jr. that I like a little bit more. I definitely do like Truex. He's finished 8th or better in each of his last 5 races at Atlanta, so he's been really good here. So I think he should be a pretty decent favorite to finish in the top 10. So it's not like you're backing a guy who's a potential wild card here. He's very consistent. I think it definitely makes sense.
I'm not taking another Daniel Suarez swing.
That looked really good for a lap. For one lap last week, that looked really good.
That's about the story of my life. I was a genius for a lap.
If the rain came in for that one lap, then maybe you had a shot. But
oh yeah, that's Willie. What do you think about Truex over Kyle Busch? You with me on this one, bud?
Yeah.
He's Kyle Busch.
I took Kyle Busch in my picks, but Truex has also been. He's been a good driver. I think he's due for something at this point. I don't know what's happened there. It seems like he's fallen off the cliff this year, but he's due for something good to happen.
Okay. Let's go to Scott. Scott, give me a matchup, or if you don't have any matchups, give me a prop. Tell me what you got going on.
All right, so I'll actually stick to Truex because I actually do have my own matchup prop with Truex. It's also at plus 105. It's Truex over Elliott at plus 105 on Fox Bet. And the main reason is what I just said before. Elliott, even though he has a very good average finish, he's never finished better than 5th. Last 2 races, he's finished in the double digits, either 10th or I believe it was 18th last year. And Truex has finished in the top 8 in each of his last 5 runnings here. So plus 105, I feel like you can make an argument it should be minus 110 on both sides. So I'm going to take that 15 cents of value, in my opinion, and take the plus 105 with Truex Jr. over Elliott.
Very good, Willie. I know you're not you're not a gigantic Elliott fan in this race. You like the Truex over Elliott there for a plus value for Scott?
I do, again, more or less for value than anything else. Like I said, just because Truex, you can't keep catching bad breaks like that, you know.
I don't think he should be plus money. That's the issue that I have here. I feel like he should be, wouldn't you agree, based on track record alone, should be roughly minus 110, some minus 115, something like that?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that, Elliott has proven that that he's a decent runner at this track.
He's good, but he can occasionally flame out in some races. And I think Truex Jr. is a little bit more on the safer side, so to speak. So, yeah, I think Truex Jr., at least for that price, definitely worth a look or two.
Okay. Willie, give me a matchup, Willie.
Well, I'm actually going to dive into a prop right quick that I really like, and this may surprise you. It's Matt Kenseth, top 10 at plus 175. And the reason is he's third amongst the active drivers on Atlanta with an average finish of right under 12. He's got 11 top 5s and 29 starts and 17 top 10s on this track. And I may dabble with him at top 5 for 14-1 also, but I really like him for a top 10. I think he's going to have a good finish this weekend.
Okay. Interesting pick. And I'm just trying to scroll through here to see where Kenseth starts 19 in that 42 Chevy. Scott, what do you think about Kenseth? Is he going to is he getting his chops back there driving that taking over that 42 car for how quickly they forget Kyle Larson? Sorry.
Yeah.
The Ganassi car.
Yeah. For Kenseth here, I'm going to pass. I know he's been really good here historically. He's been awful over the last month, and I'm not trying to be mean. I know that Kenseth has been a very solid driver for a long time. He hasn't finished better than 16th in each of his last 4 races. He's finished 23rd or worse in 3 of his last 4 races. I'm not really interested. I understand that historically speaking, he's been very good here, and experience should play a factor. I'm not sure if the equipment's right or if he's used to the actual crew chiefs or what's going on there. But something clearly isn't working, and I think that if we're comparing old drivers who might be done, I think Jimmie Johnson is more left in the tank than Kenseth, so I'm personally going to pass on Kenseth there.
Okay.
I
kind of feel the same way. I'm just not sure. I'm not convinced that Kenseth as a driver is done. I just don't think
something's not matching up right with his current situation.
No, I don't. It's it was thrust in there kind of unexpectedly, and it's not a situation that he's been used to. Of course, driving over there with Newman and Haas, driving for Chip Ganassi, the 42 Target car. That's I think that's a step down in equipment from the Joe Gibbs, Tony Stewart, obviously Richard Childress, and those teams. I just I don't know.
I like plus 175, but I feel like that's a pretty dangerous play if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So Willie, we will be back to apologize to you effusively and praise you all day long when Kenseth finishes sixth in that race and cashes that ticket for you. So very good. Very good. And I like that I like stepping outside the box there, and we had him, Scott, you and I backed him here early in the season. And it looked like he was going to make a run there, and then he just kind of fell off the cliff.
I had money on a matchup in his first race, and I won. And at that point, I hit the ejector button, and I haven't really been back since.
All right. So that's so I got Willie top 10 for Kenseth at plus 175. And man, I'm looking around here. I'm trying to find myself another prop with one of the drivers that I don't have.
I still have a couple matchups left, so while you search, do you want me to give out another one?
You know what? I got one here. This is going to be a driver that we haven't talked about at all. I'm going to take Joey Logano at plus 125 over Chase Elliott. How about that? Logano's has run well at this track. He's hasn't been great his last two times out, but he's been historically a pretty good driver at Atlanta, and I'm going to take. You know what? No, I'm not. I've changed my mind. Yeah,
never mind. That's a false alarm. He's not taking it. False alarm.
Yeah, no. I thought I had him on the wrong line here. So give me your next matchup or your prop, Scott.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Joey Logano because I got a prop on Joey Logano here, and I like him over Bowman at plus 105 on Fox Bet. This line is an absolute joke. Logano should probably be minus 125 here, probably even more. Plus 105 is a just hilarious line if you really look at the comparisons here. Logano's been really good here historically. Has he been to the same level as Harvick and Keselowski? No, but he's still been very good here. And to be completely honest, Bowman, I know that as a youngster, maybe he has a good drive in him. He's been awful here historically. If you look at his numbers, he has 4 starts here, average finish 23.25. He's never finished better than 15th, and Logano usually finds his way into the top 10 here. Plus 105 is a steal and a half. I'll take Logano over Bowman at plus 105 on Fox Bet.
Okay. All right. Very good. Willie, you got any thoughts on either one of those matchups?
Oh, well, I have a matchup very similar to that with Logano. I'm actually going to take him and fade you guys. Logano at even money against Keselowski in a matchup.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. So you like Logano there?
I do. I just feel like Brad is due for some negative regression, due for some regression, if you will. He's not. He's a good driver, but I still don't know that I would say that he's good enough that I want to pick every single weekend.
Well, I just think that the reason why we like him is because of his track record here and the fact that his crew chief he's on point. He's got a phenomenal crew chief over there. But I definitely agree. I think Logano, who has run really well here, it should be a good weekend for the Fords. So I definitely think that makes a lot of sense. You have any thoughts on that plus 105 thing against Bowman, or you don't have any thoughts on that?
I'm kind of on the fence about that because I feel like Bowman, although he's done bad here in the past, I do feel like he's driving better this year, and he has a better team this year than he has before. So, I'm kind of on the fence about that.
You got any thoughts on that, Scott?
You got him plus 105 matching up with who?
Bowman. I got Logano over Bowman at plus 105. I think that should be minus 120, minus 125.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Bowman at this track. He's
he's
probably
younger, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and I got a little bit of a personal axe to grind against Bowman. I've backed him a couple times. He
I
hasn't done
forgot
well.
about that. That's right.
Yeah.
He was your first guy. He was your first
Yeah.
guy on our NASCAR videos.
You never forget your first, and he hasn't. He's kind of let me down, so it's hard for me to back him. I know every race is different, and you know, in all sports, every game is different, but it's especially true in NASCAR, where the track size changes, the needs change, the cars change. Yeah, I would fade Bowman here.
What do you think? What do you think that line should be for Logano? Because there's no way Bowman should be favored in this matchup.
Well, Logano's not a master of this track, like I was talking about. But I think in the minus 110, minus 112.
I said minus 120, but that's mostly just because Bowman has not finished better than 15.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a solid play, especially getting positive value. I think Bowman's going to be a good race car driver. Just not sure we're there yet, and I'm not sure this is the track where that comes out. Yeah,
I agree. Did you find the matchup in the end?
I did, as a matter of fact. I just had it. Oh, there we go. I like. I'm going to take Kurt Busch over Jimmie Johnson. Battle of the veterans there. I don't like. The only thing I don't like about it, I'm laying a little bit of wood at minus 120. But I think that I think this is a good track for Kurt Busch, and I think that he's had a solid season. He's been a little bit under the radar as far as being the top 10 in points this season. But I like what he's done. He seems to be motivated there. He's got a decent car in that one car, and I'm gonna take Kurt Busch over Jimmie Johnson at minus 120. A little throwback to the 2005 there, if you will, and when both of these guys were at the top of their game. So give me Kurt Busch over Jimmie Johnson minus 120. Thoughts on that one, gentlemen?
Well, I actually found a prop that you might be interested in a little bit more than that, but we can get into that when we actually start talking about the manufacturer props. But you have any thoughts on Kurt Busch being top Chevy at plus 700?
Well, let me see here. Who we got?
By the way, for the sake of it, I found on DraftKings that Kurt Busch, Jimmie Johnson, it's minus 115. So you can cut into that juice a little bit.
Okay. All right. Minus 115. Got you down there. Thank you very much. I'll take each and every dime I can pick up. So you've got Kurt Busch at plus 700.
Top Chevy.
I don't hate that at all.
I'm not taking it. I'm just throwing it out there that you might be interested.
I do like that because you've got him competing against Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman, a couple of guys that we've already decided that we don't really like all that well. Of course, he's also going against Jimmie Johnson, and I've already kind of laid out my position on where I think he's going to finish in regards to Jimmie Johnson. And, then you've got a bunch of has-beens and never-wers a little bit down the line. You've got him going against Austin Dillon, Kenseth, William Byron, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick. Not a lot of bow tie fans. Not a lot of bow tie action there that I like. I think that's a fine play, Scott. I think plus 700 to be the top bow tie at the end of the day on that track is a hell of a bet. Willie, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like that. Where did you say that you have that at, Scott?
It's on DraftKings. Kurt Busch to be top Chevys plus 700.
Yeah, I really do like that. It's something about just trusting a veteran that really just kind of feels right, especially on a track like Atlanta.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, Scotty, I'm going to take that one. I'm going to make that an official play on my prop action here, man. You guys, I'm so jealous of you guys living in the places with that have the legal books and have the variety of bets that you have available. You have a lot more options than I do, and apparently a lot better prices on most bets.
Well, the one thing you need is a guy who has access. Doesn't necessarily need to be you, but you need to know somebody who has connections.
Well, that's true. That's true as well. As with so many things in life, it really helps if you know a guy. That's all I'm saying. So, all right, very good. I'll take Kurt Busch on the manufacturer's prop there, top Chevy plus 700. Yeah, thanks for the heads up there, Scott.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's fire up the Venmo here in a little while and get you here. Okay. Anyway, where are we at? Willie, what you got? What you got for another prop action, little matchup? What do you got? Anything else that you like?
You know, it kind of seems cliche at this point, but I do like Alex Bowman at 11-1 to win stage 1. It seems to be
Okay.
he seems to be a strong starter at least.
Yeah, he tends to fade late, but usually he's pretty good for the first stage or two.
All right, that's a nice price on that. Alex Bowman to win stage 1 plus 1,100. Where's he? Where's Bowman starting? Has he got a decent starting position? Starting 8th, yeah, certainly good enough to get to the front. What are they running for stages here, guys? Are they running 125, 125, 250? Or are they running 150, 150, 200? Does anybody know?
I'm honestly not sure. I thought it might have been 125. I thought.
It probably is. Probably 125, 125, 250 would be my guess. Willie, you know on that one?
I don't for sure, but that would be my guess as well.
Okay. All right. That's a fine pick right there, Willie. I got you down for Alex Bowman to win stage number 1 at plus 1,100. I'm trying to look around here, guys. I don't see really. I've given myself a lot of action. I've got 6 plays here. I've got three drivers and 3 prop bets. Yeah, there's nothing really grabbing me.
I still got a couple more in the back.
I'm sure you do, buddy. Yeah, go ahead. I think I'm done.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick to matchups, though. This is going to be my last matchup prop. I already gave out Truex over Elliott at plus 105, Logano over Bowman at plus 105. Yeah. I'm going to stick with the plus 105 bandwagon here. This line makes absolutely no sense to me once again on Fox Bet, and it's going to be Jimmie Johnson over Ryan Blaney at plus 105. Long story short, I've already mentioned how good Johnson has been historically here. Ryan Blaney on this track is awful. And I'm not sure why he's the favorite in this matchup at all. If you want to look at Blaney's numbers, he's raced here 4 times. His average finish is 19.25. He finished 12th once, never finished better than 18th before that. He's just not good here. And I think Johnson has a significantly better chance of finishing in the top 10 than Blaney does. I think Blaney should finish probably somewhere in the high teens, low 20s, and Johnson should finish probably top 15. Plus 105, I have to take that. So I'm going to go with Johnson plus 105 against Blaney.
I don't hate that. Yeah, Ryan Blaney's best finish, like you said, that track is 12th. It generally doesn't have good starting position. He hasn't generally driven for the best teams, and I'm just trying to see where he's starting in. Why can't I find it, Ryan?
I know Johnson's starting 15th for comparison.
Ryan Blaney's starting 7th in that number 12 Ford there, and I'm with you there. Ryan Blaney has not shown much, and he certainly hasn't shown much at Atlanta here.
He shouldn't be a favorite in this matchup, just simply put.
No, I'm with you on that. Willie, what do you think about that? You got a little value there at plus 105, fading Blaney.
Yeah, I'm also with you, Scott.
All right, Willie, you got any more props or matchups?
Yeah, I have one more prop, and this is more or less just because I like to gamble a little bit. The car number of the race winner DraftKings over 16.5 at plus 100. And it's just like I said, it's more or less because I like to gamble, and I do like Kyle Busch. That's my main reasoning behind it. It's I don't plan on diving deep into it, but I will throw a unit on it.
So 4 digits on that for you.
I wish.
Well, number over 16.5. I don't hate that. Let's see, who does that take out of the? Who does that take out?
Well, you take out Keselowski, you take out Harvick, take out a couple people, but you still get Busch, you still get Logano, you get Truex Jr., you got Jimmie hypothetically. I mean, yeah, you still got some racers in there. I mean, you get rid of a couple. I don't know how that's going to work out once Clint Boyer wins the race, right, Scott?
That's right. That's right.
No, you definitely still have some racers in there. You get Kyle Busch and Truex. You definitely have some options there, and Logano as well. So yeah, I mean that's definitely not a bad play at a plus price.
I don't root for anybody to lose, but Willie, if I was gonna root for anybody, I'd root for you to lose that one as Clint Boyer comes in and cashes that 35 to or that 60 to 1 ticket for me. So I'll tell you what, if he cashes that ticket, I'll cover your bet there.
See, I can live with him winning.
All right. So that's it for you as far as the props go, Willie. Nothing else?
Yeah, that's all the action I have for this race.
All right.
At this moment.
Scott, bring us home. I know you got more action. You're an action player. What do you got, bud?
So, yeah, I usually do a couple of props on top car by manufacturer. I was looking at the Chevy props for a little bit on Anderson and Elliott. I really was very close to pulling the trigger on Jimmie Johnson at 6.5 to 1. But Kurt Busch does scare me at 7 to 1. If you really want to go for some value, you can maybe put a sprinkle on both of those and see what happens. Hell, you can even put a unit on Elliott and then put like half a unit on Johnson and Busch and just try to fade Bowman. You'll probably make a decent profit. I'm not going to do that, but that definitely is an option if you wanted to go at it. I decided to pass on the Chevys, but I actually am going to double dip on the Fords a little bit. As much as I think Logano has some talent on this track, I'm going to take Harvick for a unit at plus 195, and I'm going to take Keselowski for a unit at plus 350, and I'm going to go for a double chance there with the top Fords there. I really like Keselowski. I really like Harvick here. I think one of the two, if not both, should probably finish top 3. So you're getting at least 1.9 units on both of them. I don't know how I don't take both. So I'm going to go with Harvick top Ford and Keselowski top Ford.
You know you're not going to win both of those, right?
It'd be really tough to win both of those. So
what do you say? Plus 195 for Harvick and plus 390. What do you say for?
It's plus 350 for Keselowski. You have any thoughts on those? I think Logano could potentially be a spoiler, but besides Logano, I mean, you're looking at your boy Clint Boyer, who's 9 to 1. You got Ryan Blaney at 550, who we all said is pretty underwhelming on this track. It's for the most part. I know Boyer can maybe do something here. I think you'll agree that Harvick should probably be lower than plus 195, and there's no way Keselowski should be anywhere north of plus 300.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with I would certainly agree with Keselowski there. I think that's a pretty reasonable price on Harvick. I'm not quite convinced of the value as much as you are.
Okay.
But I know I'm not in love with Harvick as much as you guys are on this track. So yeah,
I think we'd agree though that Harvick and Keselowski on this track are the clear top Fords, and it's really not that close.
No, and you're coming out okay. You're basically just fading
Logano and Boyer. That's basically what you're doing.
Yeah. So that's not bad at all. Willie, what do you think about that as far as the top Ford goes?
Yeah, I don't hate those plays.
I mean, I know that you like Logano in a matchup against Keselowski, so you're not fully into it, but I think you can agree based on track record. I think that Harvick and Keselowski, there's a decent chance you're probably free rolling one of those for plus money. And I think that that's definitely worth a 2-unit shot for most likely a bare minimum 0.9 unit cash, potentially free rolling for at least 2.5 units on Keselowski profit. So right. I'll be willing to gamble on those two Fords because of their track record here and how they've performed lately. So I think that those two are definitely the class of the car brand, so to speak.
Yeah, and it also gives you a chance to you get to hedge your Bowman. You get to hedge your Logano over Bowman just a little bit there. So
yeah, I mean you can still win all three, but you also hedge them. So yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Okay, yeah, all right, buddy. I'm on board with you there. Is that it for you?
That's it. I really was thinking about pulling something with the Chevys, but at the end of the day, I do think Kurt Busch can make a run. I think Elliot could still do well, even though we're all not really sold in him. For value, I mentioned Kurt Busch. I mentioned Jimmie Johnson at 6.5 to 1. If you really wanted to do something with those, you could. I'm going to pass. I'm going to stick to the Fords. For value on the Toyota, maybe you could look into Truex Jr. plus 215, but I'm not that interested. I'm going to pass. So I'm done with the Fords.
Okay. All right. Very good. Willie, any last minute thing that came to you there?
I do have one more thing in my notes. It's not from a betting perspective, from a DFS perspective instead. It's just Daniel Suarez starting 37th, and he's never finished lower than 21st in Atlanta. It's definitely a must-play for DFS players.
Okay. All right. Very good. Filling out the end of your bench there with Daniel Suarez.
That's your favorite driver, right?
I'm not mentioning Daniel Suarez. I'm taking a week off from talking about Daniel Suarez. He teased me. I had him top 10 last week, and I made a rookie mistake. I had factored him in with his finishes driving for Newman Haas, and he has moved on to a lesser ride, and I did not factor that in. I made a tactical error in recommending Daniel Suarez, and
you still got a good price, so don't kick yourself too badly.
I know, but it was much more in line with what it should have been, as opposed to picking up a little extra value, which I thought I was being smart, you know what I'm saying? And not so much.
So do any of us have any other plays, or should we just do the recap?
I'm done. I'm done. You're done. Willie, you done?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. So time for the recap here. And once again, just to recap our standings, we the way we do it is we award kind of reverse points. Is the lowest points is the best. To give you 1 point for every finishing position. Willie currently leads at 69. Rochelle has 95. I am at 107. Although that's just one good week away from turning everything around.
I'm going on record saying I'm more concerned with profit over the Winners and Whiners Cup. So I'm going to go on record and say that.
All right, fair enough. And that's certainly legitimate. And this week, Scott's his 3 picks to click have been Kevin Harvick at plus 500, Brad Keselowski at plus 1,000, and Jimmie Johnson is the long shot, the 48 car at 20-1 plus.
Same as usual, half a unit on Harvick and Keselowski and a third of a unit on Johnson.
Okay, there you go. While Willie, he has decided that his top 3 for this race are Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Kurt Busch. Harvick and the Busch brothers, at Harvick at 5, Busch at 7, and Kurt Busch, a nice tasty price there at 20-1. And your bottom feeder here, myself, I've gone with 3 double-digit underdogs here. Brad Keselowski at plus 200, Martin Truex Jr. At plus 10, and Clint Bowyer. Ride him till he dies. Clint Bowyer this week, again, getting a great price on that car at plus 60 to 1, plus 6,000.
I think you accidentally said Keselowski at plus 200. I think you meant plus 1,000.
I certainly did. Yep, just projecting there a little bit. Plus 1,000 on Keselowski. So, yeah, 10-1, and 60-1 on Clint Bowyer. And then as far as the props and matchups go, Scott, he really likes Martin Truex Jr. over Chase Elliott on this track.
These are all for 1 unit.
All for one unit at plus 105. Logano over Bowman at plus 105. And Johnson over Blaney. Stop me if you've heard this price before. Plus 105. He has Harvick to be the top 4 at plus 195. And he's also taken a swing on the Blue Deuce with Brad Keselowski at plus 350 to be the top oval finisher there as well. And Willie, he's got his prop action. He's got Alex Bowman to win stage number 1 at plus 1,100. And he's got one of my personal favorites of the degenerate gamblers. He's got the car number to win the race over 16.5 at plus 100. He's got Matt Kenseth with a top 10 finish plus 175. And he has Joey Logano to beat Brad Keselowski at plus 100. Myself, I've got Martin Truex Jr. over Kyle Busch plus 105. Kurt Busch over the inevitable Jimmie Johnson minus 115. And I do have Kurt Busch to be the top bow tie at plus 700. All right, so that brings us to a close, guys. Should be a fun race to watch. Atlanta, always a lot of excitement going down with the tire situation. You never know, somebody cuts a tire, takes out a favorite. Weird, wild, wacky things happen. I personally can hardly wait. Willie, any final thoughts on this race for our viewers?
It should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, very, very good. Scott, anything you want to say here before we're done?
No, not really. The last Bundesliga play I had hasn't really looked that great, so it looks like I'm going to be making a very small amount of profit, but it's better than nothing at all. So hopefully UFC goes well tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing some good fights. All right, and we should have a pretty jam-packed week coming up. We were putting our schedule together yesterday, and we're going to have a lot of
a few special guests in here. Maybe I don't want to say anything yet, but we might have a very special guest to talk about golf. My God, we got another sport starting up next week, guys. It's the golf tournament, and I guess it's not. They're playing at the Colonial. I don't think they call it the Colonial anymore, but they're playing it there in Ohio at the Colonial Golf Course. So I know we're going to be excited to have another live sport in America to add to our repertoire. We talked about the status yesterday about where the other sports are, and we didn't even talk about golf, which is coming, next Thursday. We'll be starting that golf tournament. And like I said, we're trying to put the finishing touches on here, getting everybody scheduled to match up, but we may have a very special guest on to talk about the golf. And I think we're going to have, of course, I think we're going to have Valdez back to talk a little soccer, trying to make contact and have Curtis back to talk a little horse racing. So, Scott, you and I can relax a little bit this week. We don't have to jibber-jabber quite as much as usual. So
I like the jibber-jabber, though.
I be the fool going to jibber-jabber all the time on my show. So that should be fun. Should be a fun week coming up. And Willie, thanks for stopping by, man. Had a good time. Appreciate you making the trip.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you for having me on me. Everybody listening, go check out winnersandwhiners.com, statsalt.com, and pickpapa.com. Our esports department is on a fire right now.
There you go. Just what Willie said right there. And, we had Willie on last week to talk a little esports. Don't be afraid of it, guys, especially you old bastards out there like me. And you don't understand all these kids with their control. It doesn't matter. There's profit there. Read these articles. Read what these guys are saying. Get your picks down. Make your money. It doesn't matter whether you like to watch the sports. Don't even watch it. Just think of it like betting money on the stocks. You just make a little stock investment. At the end of the day, you have more money than you started the day with, and that's the bottom line. So, Scott, appreciate you being here. Always helping me lift those bars and tug that bales as always. Appreciate you doing the heavy lifting out there, brother. Have fun this weekend. You got anything planned? Any big plans there in Long Island?
Just kicking back, watching some fights, and then watching some NASCAR tomorrow. But,
there you go.
Yeah, mostly just revolving around sports, same as usual.
There you go. Sounds like a full weekend. And you guys take care. Everybody appreciate all of you stopping by to check us out. And we really do. We do love each and every one of you that have been loyal and come back and checked out our videos. We know this is a tough time. And, we just appreciate all of you, all the viewers, all the guys that check out winnersandwhiners.com, statsalt.com. And, get your butt over there, make yourself some money. We're taking tomorrow off, man. We're going to watch some racing and have a little fun. But until then, I am Scott Steen. He is Scott Reichel. He is Winning Willie down there in Mississippi. And we're the guys over at Winners and Whiners. We appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Get out there, get some sun. Get your steps in, all right? And then come back in and watch a little bit of sports, and we'll be here to talk all about it on Monday. Until then, take care. You guys have a great one. Bye-bye.